With number 10, we have an equation that has fractions in it, so we're going to have to find a common denominator and multiply both sides by the common denominator. In this case, that common denominator will be 4. So we'll set up our equation multiplying both sides by 4. This one is not quite as simple as the last time we used this strategy because we have more than one term on the left side or right side. And we'll have to make sure we multiply everything by that. Now, as I rewrite it, I also notice that I do have two like terms on the left side, the 1/2 and the 7. But I'd have to convert those to fractions and spend a lot of time with that. So I may want to first multiply things out and then go ahead and combine the like terms. So 4 times 1/2 is 2. Then 4 times negative x is negative 4x. And 4 times 7 is 28. On the other side, 4 times 3/4, the 4's will cancel, and there'll be just a 3 left from that term. Then 4 times 2x is 8x. And so as you can see, all of the denominators have disappeared, and numbers are much easier to work with at this point. So we do have some like terms. So before we start to add and subtract things and multiply and divide both sides by the same number, we can combine at least these two. We have a 2 and a positive 28, so that's going to give 30 minus 4x is equal to 3 plus 8x. At this point, we have an x on both sides issue, and so we'll pick on the smallest one, which happens to be the negative 4x. Remember that anytime you have a negative and a positive, regardless of the magnitude of the numbers, the negative will always be smaller, the bigger loser, than the positive number. So we're going to add 4x to both sides, and we end up with 30 is equal to 3 plus 12x. And at this point, the x's are only on the right side. We'll subtract 3 from both sides, and we have 27 is equal to 12x. Divide both sides by 12. X is equal to 27 over 12. Now both of these numbers can be divided by 3. And so we end up with 9 over 4. X equals 9 over 4 will be our solution to problem number 10. Alright, we'll go on to problem number 11. First we're going to have to distribute, combine like terms, etc. So 5 times x, 5x. 5 times negative 3, negative 15. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 8 is positive 16. So we have x on both sides. We'll pick on the smallest number, the smallest x term, which is 5x. We'll add the opposite to both sides, and so we end up with negative 15 is equal to x plus 16. We want to get rid of the 16, so we'll add its opposite or subtract 16 from both sides. And negative 15 plus negative 16 or negative 15 minus 16 gives us negative 31. Remember that that is not negative 15 minus negative 16. That's not what it is. And so we end up with x is equal to negative 31. And that gives us our answer for number 11. We'll scroll down here to make some room for 12 and 13. Okay, with number 12, similar type of problem, only this time we have some decimals. So we're going to distribute. Negative 0.2 times x is negative 0.2x. Negative 0.2 times negative 6. You can feel free to use your calculator. And that's going to come out to be positive 1.2. Then a plus x is equal to 0.3 times 4, which is 1.2 minus 0.3x. Alright, so before we start dealing with which side we want the x to remain on, we do have a like terms on the left side. So we have negative 0.2x and positive x. So remember, the positive x is really like a 1x. And a 1x minus 0.2x is going to give us 0.8x plus 1.2. And on the other side, 1.2 minus 0.3x. Okay, so now we want to pick on the little guy. The little guy is still going to be and again, when I say pick on the little guy, I'm referring to the smallest x term, not the smallest number in general, but the smallest x term, because we want to get that x into place first before we start moving the other things around or adding and subtracting other things. So we'll want to get rid of the 0.3, negative 0.3. We add its opposite. So plus 0.3x to both sides, and we have 1.1x plus 1.2 is equal to 1.2. Now we're just going to subtract subtract 1.2, not subtract negative 1.2, but subtract 1.2 or add negative 1.2 to both sides, and we get 1.1x is equal to 0, and divide by 1.1. X is equal to 0. Okay, with problem number 13, we'll finish up this section of problems on solving equations. And the left side will just stay the same. We're going to distribute. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, and then a plus x on the right side. So we do have some like terms on the right side that we should deal with before we do anything else. 2x plus x is 3x minus 10. 3x plus 5. Well, this is a pretty good indication that we're going to end up with a no solution problem, because we have 3 times a number plus something can never equals 3 times that number minus something. But let's see. Let's start by subtracting 3x from both sides. When we do, we end up with 5 is equal to negative 10, which is never. And so we say no solutions to this problem here. All right, so we'll go on to the word problems in problem number 14 in the next video.